Okay, I'd like to say hello and welcome to IoBM's Lessons for Leaders series. Today is the second part of the series, All You Want to Know About LinkedIn. And we started that with Sam Waterfall around 2 weeks ago, then came in Eid and a lot more things. So if you want to socialize on LinkedIn, find out things that you never knew existed, learn the new tips and tricks, today is the day and Sam's the man. My name is Sara Mashood and with me we have Abrar, CEO-Trufocus. We both are part of IoBM's Alumni Association, which is working tremendously to bridge the gap between the alumni and the institute. Lessons for Leaders is one such way of doing this. I'm now going to let Abrar introduce Sam Waterfall in his wonderful way. Over to you, Abrar.
Thanks a lot, Sara. Sara, I'm extremely interested to know more. Our previous session made huge success, roaring success, I must say, thanks to, I think, the entire participation of the audiences. They really connected and linked to all the interesting insights that we've received, and much obliged to Sam Waterfall. So Sam is a global coach, someone that we all look up to, and because of the great insights that we received last time, I improved. I was just sharing it with my co-host Sara today that I improved my own LinkedIn profile, and I've been able to do it across a dozen more individuals who have connected with me. So Sam has been contributing for the last couple of years. He's a marketeer turned entrepreneur. He manages his own business and consulting practice and has clients throughout the world. And we're very happy to host. And today is our second session, a part series, which is to establish lessons for leaders. And for leaders, it's very important to link in, to connect, to network, and why miss out the biggest platform of networking, LinkedIn. So today, Sam will talk more about how we can utilize this brilliant platform. And without further ado, over to Sam. Welcome, Sam.
Assalamu alaikum. Let's begin. And I'm very happy to be with you, and greetings from London. This is really tried and tested and proven material. I've been working on the LinkedIn platform since the year it began, and I've helped a lot of people manage their profiles, improve their profiles, and dramatically improve their results with LinkedIn, which is what this is really all about. So this is two things that I would like to achieve for you in this. I want this to be interesting. I'm hoping that I've found some different and some new ideas in here. Different people, of course, will be at different levels of expertise, but I would like this to be interesting. But at the same time, I want it to be immediately useful. And I've shared some similar material on webinars across the last couple of weeks. And the feedback I got was people were just literally taking this and running with it. They were taking these ideas and making a change very quickly. Some of these things are very, very fast to do. So I'm excited to share them with you. So let's really jump into this. And the way I've organized it, I'm going to give a quick background on me. I know you've given me an introduction, so thank you for that. So I'll just give a quick introduction from my perspective. And then I want to jump straight into what I'm calling 8 power plays to multiply your success with LinkedIn. And these are all big ideas that can make a big difference. They don't necessarily take a long time to implement. And then all the way through that, what I want to do is give you some extra, again, quick to apply success tips. And so every time you see that little box there with the mountain in the bottom, the blue slide, that's going to be just a quick to apply tip. And I've sort of put those throughout the presentation as like little extras that we'll come on to. So there's some theory in there, some big ideas, some big theories. There's also some major ideas, things that I'm surprised people are missing. And then I've got a couple of things in here as well. There's been a little overlap in here, of course, with one of our earlier webinars, because we did a webinar recently on networking. And networking and LinkedIn are almost synonymous these days. The two things go very much hand in hand. So if people have been on the previous webinar, there'll be a little repetition, but hopefully this has got a new audience here as well for new leaders from the alumni network. So with that, I'm going to jump straight in and start talking about this. So my background has always been as a marketer. That's where I have come from, and I've worked with major companies, but more recently with smaller companies, and more recently as a consultant. And alongside that, I've been coaching for the last 17 years, helping people to really promote themselves and promote their profiles. And LinkedIn has been a major part of doing that. It's been very, very important to make that work along the way. And most importantly, what I would say is that it's not what I've been doing, but it's how I've been a guide for my clients and what they've been able to achieve. And that's certainly the thing which has been most important. My work has let them achieve fabulous results. They've set out to become employees with some of the biggest and most sought after companies, and we've helped them open those doors through networking on platforms like LinkedIn and through helping them with resumes and CVs and their interview approaches. So that's what I've been doing. And for me, it's always very much far more about building your career than just finding a job. So I hope to always take a long-term view to this. And networking is the kind of thing I often say when I'm talking about networking, you know, this is something you should have started last year or the year before. Do not wait to get going with your networking. Do not wait to build your LinkedIn network, because when you need it suddenly, careers are one of these things that have an unhappy sort of tendency to change fast. Sometimes we don't see the changes coming. And that can be a big problem sometimes. So we really need to make sure our LinkedIn network is built in advance. So let's look at a few sort of background ideas to begin with. What is LinkedIn for those who are just joining? Well, it is a free and paid for platform connecting professionals. So you can get started for free. Later on, I'm going to recommend that you upgrade if you're either really serious about building your network, and there's a very definite reason for that, that you get a benefit from using the paid version. And also if you're in a job search. If you're in a job search, just don't try and fight through here without the full visibility that the premium platform gives you. You can always downgrade again on a month-by-month basis, but I think you'll appreciate this one feature in particular. It is, however, far more than a job site. It's really helpful for networking, for career development, and with so many people, nearly 700 million people now worldwide on here. Someone once said, and I think it was a smart comment, if you're not LinkedIn, you're left out. And I think that really sums it up. So it's a place to be connected, but it's also a place to keep in touch with people. And then why would we optimize it? Why is it not enough just to do your, people sometimes think, well, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm doing LinkedIn, and it's not enough, I promise you. You need to optimize and you need to be active on the platform, because recruiters are looking here. So if you're looking to get found, you need to be optimizing, and we'll go into exactly how to do that within the content of this presentation. 85% of recruiters use LinkedIn to identify the talent they're looking for, but 95% are using LinkedIn to actually aid their decision-making. So even if they're not using it as the source, maybe they're getting leads from elsewhere, of course, but they are using LinkedIn to make decisions. So having a profile that makes you look good is really, really important. And when you optimize, there's algorithms in there. Of course, these days, of course, there's algorithms, and they make it so much easier, because sometimes the jobs and the opportunities start finding you. And that's when I think it's about making sure that you have your personal brand presence there on LinkedIn. It's not just about having a profile. So that's really, really important. So the first power play, let's jump straight into these. This is the life-changing networking theory from Stanford University. And it is so important. This is really at the foundation of why your LinkedIn is so important for your career. It was created, this idea, by Professor Mark Granovetter at Stanford University way back in '73. And you think, well, why are you talking about something from back in '73? That's so long ago. Well, really, he was at the very beginning of what we can call social networks, which were there way before social media as we know it today. And what he really studied was the importance of social networks when it came to finding your next job or your promotion or advancing yourself in your career. And he studied the kind of people that we are as graduates of business schools and institutions like that. He was looking at technical, professional, and managerial workers. And what Granovetter discovered was, if you can picture that network as being your network, imagine that you're right in the center of your network. And around you, he says, you have strong ties. Your strong ties are your closest friends, your family, your loved ones. And of course, what tends to happen is that they tend to see the world a little bit like we see the world. Maybe they're watching the same TV shows because we're in the same room. Maybe it's the same friends that we always talk about. Maybe we support the same political organizations. When we talk to them, we probably don't get so many different views, but we get comfort. And they're great for that. They're our family and our loved ones, and that's what that's all about. But what was interesting to Granavet was when he went further out, and the other type of connections that he mentions are called weak ties. And these are the ones you do not have such strong ties to. And the nice thing about them, this is your disparate and sometimes distant, maybe geographically distant, network of acquaintances. And these people could be people that you met way back in your first school and still kept in touch with. They could be people from your Institute of Business Management experience, your classmates. They could be former colleagues. They could be someone you met on holiday around a swimming pool once and just got on well with. It really doesn't matter where they came from. The point is, you know them, you've got a connection, and that's what's really, really important. And the beautiful thing about weak ties, I think, you know how your strong ties, you have to keep in touch all the time. You need to keep your family updated that you're safe and that you're doing okay. And if you don't text your partner, every few hours and let them know that everything's all right and check in, you're in trouble. We all know that. But with your weak ties, you don't have to do that at all. With your weak ties, you just leave it. You have a professional relationship, you stop, and then you can come back to them. And just like those old school friends where the jokes about the old teachers are just as funny as they always were, same with colleagues. You can just pick up and talk about that old project, and they become a really fabulous connection that you can just go back to. But the important thing is you need to keep top of mind. You can't, sometimes we lose track, of course, and it's the easiest thing to lose track. But what Granavet found was that your weak ties are really your windows on the world. Now, if you lose track of one of those connections, that's one window on the world that you should have that's closed. The blinds are shuttered and you can't see any longer what they see, and they can't bring you the opportunities and things that could be useful to you. And the more you get out of touch with your connections and your acquaintances, and let's face it, we all do, right? It's so easy to get out of touch with people. We didn't mean to, it's just that we were busy and there's no time to keep in touch with everybody. Except LinkedIn makes that really a whole lot easier and gives us an opportunity to do that. Why is this so important? Those windows on the world, Granavet found that our acquaintances help us find 56% of all new jobs, new opportunities, promotions, you name it, it comes from a connection. And 75%, more than 75%, if you're looking for higher paying jobs. I don't know about you, but I always like higher paying rather than lower paying. So I'm really interested in this. And I find, as I've worked with lots of senior level professionals this year in 2020, in COVID-19 times, this is even more. I think it's more like 85 or 90% of jobs, especially high paid jobs, people are finding those, they're only getting into them through their network. So this is incredibly important. Not only is it important for finding these higher paid jobs, but actually you may have experienced this yourself. If you've been in a job for a long time, we tend to start to rely on those people within the organization. And someone does accounting for us, someone does marketing for us, someone does HR for us, and all of our needs organizationally are taken care of by someone within the organization, and we can let our external network slip because we're busy doing our job. And I'm encouraging you don't do that, because if you're eventually wanting, or maybe through redundancy or furlough, you're required to move outside of that organization, suddenly you're going to feel the missing network that you didn't maintain. And so that's why I'm urging you, keep building that network. The other side of it is, when it comes to the employer point of view, employers prefer weak tie and recommendation connections for hiring as well. Because imagine if I go into an interview, I'm going to tell my best story of me, and I'm not going to tell all of the bad things that happened. I'm just going to give you the amazing story of me. But far easier for someone to trust someone else who's worked with me maybe over 10 years and can say, well, Sam's actually really good. You know, he has his bad days, but actually you should interview him. He's really good. You know, that's far more convincing. And so that's how this network really, really works to help you. So he found that it's not just jobs. Granavet said that your weak ties are your best source of new ideas, new methods, new opportunities, new leads, new inspiration, as well as new jobs. So my message, and I'm going to say this more than once today, start now. Start actively increasing your number of acquaintances. And that can mean just go back through your life, think back to all those amazing experiences you've had, and reacquaint yourself with the people that you forgot to link in with, and just see what happens. I think you'll be amazed, and happily so. Remember, this is not about just friends. Now, they can be friends as well. Of course, there's blurred lines between a weak and a strong tie. But Granovesh was talking about acquaintances. So you don't have to be friends with these people. That's not the idea. And whatever you're looking for that's new, speak to them about it, tell them. And so the rules are this. Number one, increase your number of acquaintances. Number two, keep meaningfully connected. That means, meaningfully means important to them, not what you want. It means that they should want to be connected with you because they know that you're useful to them. Even if you're just sharing helpful news, helpful broad industry news, that can be helpful. So don't make that too difficult for yourself. And then serve them. Whatever you can do to be useful to your network. And of course, I don't mean like at the expense of your day-to-day tasks. So this has to be fitted in and around the periphery. I know we're all busy, but you'll find little ways and you'll find fun ways. And when you start to see what happens as a result of this, I think you'll be really excited about getting the benefits. So LinkedIn, of course, that's why we're here today. It's the perfect way to do this. You can meet people, you can connect with them easily and stay connected. And it's a brilliant opportunity to stay top of mind through sharing ideas and speaking with them and messaging them to actually keep top of mind and serve them. So that is the big message to begin with. The first of my extra tips, let's look at that one. Keep connecting to more new people, all right? Get more weak ties, get more windows on the world. And if that doesn't excite you, seriously, I think maybe you're on the wrong webinar, because we all need more windows on the world. We need to be able to see what's going on. We can see what other people are doing really well. Even if it's just a presentation style that you like, you get inspired by, that someone shares on LinkedIn, that's worth it for that day. It might mean that you've done a better presentation when it comes to your next big event where you're in the spotlight. So that's what it's really all about. And with so many people there, LinkedIn's particularly important. As we've said, if you're not LinkedIn, you're left out. So LinkedIn is particularly important because it lets you control what Google says about you. And I've done this previously, but I've done it again this morning. I've got another slide to show this in more detail. But in 2020, we are what Google says we are. And when I Google my name, and if you've not done this, I really recommend go away, Google your name, find out what happens, because you do not want to be invisible in this world. When someone's looking for you by name, you need to be visible, you need to be found. At the top, my first search result is my LinkedIn profile. And guess what? I control what's in that profile, just like you control what's in yours. So in that way, I control the words that the first people who look on Google for me, I control what they find, because I control what's in LinkedIn, and Google loves LinkedIn. So just use that. It's really, really important. And here's how to go about doing that. Here's Power Play 2. This is how to do the most important optimizations on your profile to be successful with LinkedIn. First off, strategy 1 is to write for the machine, okay? There is an algorithm, as you know, behind the scenes at LinkedIn that helps it. When you think about it, it's a big old database. There's your profile, there's my profile, and there's 675 million other people's profiles. How does it know which one to show when someone searches for something? Well, of course, there's a geographic factor, but there's a lot of keyword factor in there. There's relevant job titles are very important. But one of the most important things is your professional headline. So, but it's not just that that's important, it's all of it. So my tip number 1, fully complete your profile. And it prompts you to do that. Now, behind the scenes, full disclosure, the reason it's doing that is because it wants to have more completed profiles so it can sell better advertising and target you better and sell more advertising to the people who pay to advertise on LinkedIn. So we know that. We're not naive to that. But at the same time, by giving that information, by filling it in, it rewards you by ranking you better in the search. It gives you various statuses. It can say beginner, or you might see intermediate. But another one is All-Star, and All-Star is the top level that you can reach. So I recommend you try to get to All-Star, and it will guide you through doing that. It's almost gamified. The next thing is fill in the key fields particularly well. So that professional headline, which is the bit under your name, it has 120 characters in there, and make sure you use them all. That's the important thing that comes in there. Also job titles. Now your job title might just be marketing assistant, or it could be CMO. Now if you just put CMO, that's 3 characters. And this field is at least 100 characters long. And it's an opportunity. I'm not saying, because HR will not be happy if you invent your job title. So I'm not suggesting that you become chief executive or owner overnight or something. However, you could explain your job title a little bit more and put other parts of it, because we all know that sometimes a job is one title, but we're actually doing other jobs as well. So within reason, and remember that HR can have a look at this, we don't want to get anybody into trouble, but you can put additional keywords. If you have a look at my profile, you'll see I've done that, because it's about putting keywords into these valuable places where that algorithm looks. It goes in there and it looks in certain places. So we want to make sure we fill those in as well as possible. You can also check using the right keywords using some site called jobscan.co. That's .co. I didn't miss the M off the end, by the way. It's jobscan.co. And have a look there. You can upload your profile. You download it first as a PDF, and then you upload it into this site alongside a job description that you might be interested in. And it does a comparison to basically see how optimized are you for the kind of roles you're going for. That can be really helpful to use that kind of technology these days. It wasn't always available, but I think it's a really good tip these days. And don't ignore sections. So little things like endorsements, I promise you, are really big things, and they tend not to be valued by a lot of people, but getting them right is all part of optimizing your profile, and the algorithm notices. So the more endorsements you've got for the right skills that are relevant to the jobs you want, and the job titles you want to be found for, and the skills you want to be found for, it's all going to help you rise up through the rankings. So definitely keep that in mind. But it's not enough, of course, to write just for the algorithm, because if we just put boring keyword, 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 keyword in there, sure, we might win with the algorithm, but when a human comes along and has a look, they're not going to be impressed. They're going to see what we've done, and that's not the right way or the full way to play the game. It's just step 1. So next up, we have to then make sure that the human viewer is going to be impressed as well. Be clear, avoid jargon, be concise, because people skim. You're the same when you go to a profile. You don't want to read every word. You just want to know quick, what's going on with this person. So make it easy for them to pull out the key facts. Short paragraphs, important words, add interest and credibility with images. There's media links. There's a whole section called featured, which you can add in as an extra section that lets you do that. When you do that, it lets you add more keywords. So that's an extra thing that you can do. So it's a really good thing to do. It gives, think about it. If someone's not done that, someone's only partially filled out and they've got the same job title as you, but you have the same job title as them, but you've really enriched your profile with more content that's relevant to the job titles that you're going for. Think future, not just where you are right now. Then people will find you when they start looking for those skills and those words, because the algorithm will see how rich your profile is as a resource, and it will float to the top of the rankings. So the about section scares a lot of people to death. It's like 2,000 characters of blank page. Start writing about yourself. What, how? So I just recommend that maybe the profile from your CV. I always like to add a problem solution section as well. I say, you know, if you're one of those people, this is for me, if you're one of those people that struggles with an extra long job search, or you're trying to land a promotion and it's just not happening, well, I solve that. And then I launch into what I do and some of my credentials. And then I add areas of expertise, just a list of keywords. And that's enough to keep putting the right keywords into the profile. And then I always have a call to action in that section as well. As a good marketer, a call to action is critical. You don't want someone to just read something and then sit there. You want them to call me or connect with me or whatever it might be. So you can put a message in there. Again, realize that you don't want a call to action in there that says, recruiters call me, if you're supposed to be happy in your job at the moment. So do think about who might be looking at your profile. If you're in a role, you need to be discreet about the way you're using your LinkedIn, but still use it. Ask to network with people. That's a smart way to overcome that one. And then test it. So actually sit with people or send the link to people and get their feedback. On Zoom these days, you can actually watch people's faces as they go through your profile. You'll see if they're confused or if they're not getting it. That's a really good thing. And when you get feedback, adjust your profile accordingly. And then the third strategy here, which is really, really important, is to then start using. People think once they've done that, they've done it for the algorithm and they've put all the right words and pictures there, then they stop. Don't do that. Okay, that's only just the beginning. So now you start using the profile. This is where you take your profile forward, and what you're going to do is actively engage with other people. Your weak ties, remember, okay, all those people, and this is what this is really all about. You're keeping top of mind. Every time you like something, every time you comment on something, every time you share something, publish something, post something, they're seeing it. Not everybody sees it because the algorithm is not so generous that they show everybody everything. And we'd never get through our feeds, of course. But it's very, very important that you are connecting, and obviously do that. Reach out to the most important people within your weak tie network. They're going to be your windows on the world. So connect with as many as I said before, and keep doing that. Post content and create content. We want you to become slightly famous is my tip there. For whatever it is that you do, we want your weak ties to all know that that's what you do. My weak ties know that I'm a career coach and that I help them land jobs or do their networking. And so that's what they come to me to speak about. And so do the same thing. Work out what it is, what's your one thing that you want to be famous about, and share things on that topic. The next power play. Let's move on to the next one. So how do you do this? How do you work through? This is what I call your golden trio, okay, the golden trio. And what I suggest you do is you maximize your golden trio. They appear everywhere you appear on LinkedIn. It's your photo, your name, and your professional headline. And everywhere that you go on LinkedIn, whether it's the search results or making a comment, these things are following you around. So to make the best use for your weak ties and to be slightly famous, we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing. Let's tackle the photo first. This is really important. Right, use a tested photo and use a professional photo. Don't use one from a night out, okay? That is a complete no-no. So that's one of my crossed out images there. That was me on a night out some years ago. Don't use that one. Also, just because you thought you looked good in a pilot's outfit, don't use that one either. That's not the way forward, okay? I'm not a pilot. Don't confuse people. Don't say this was me being cool. No. You need to have a professional photo. And what I strongly recommend here is using photofeeler.com. It's an amazing site. It's a free resource. You can vote on other people. I suggest you do that when you see their photos. Vote and learn. Learn so quickly about what makes a good picture and what makes a bad one. And then earn your credits and then use your credits to test your own pictures. And I recommend testing your current photo versus 2 or 3 others, okay? Takes a little while, and I warn you, this is seriously addictive, okay? Once you start refreshing, be careful because your afternoon will vanish because you'll just be checking your photo to see what your results are. This is how it looks when it comes in. Now, I didn't share all of my bad results. Here are some of the better ones, but you can see the difference here. In this particular picture here, I am smiling. I've got eye contact with the camera. That makes a big difference. Look at the likable score, and then look at this one. No eye contact, not smiling. Okay, so that one scored well in terms of being influential and competent, but it wasn't likable. And work out what you're on here for. These days, I'm using a LinkedIn picture, which is just a shirt. But if you want to be more credible, if you want to be more professional, those scores for influence and competence definitely go up with for the guys, for a shirt and a tie. You may not need a tie in your industry. Just do whatever is important. And do whatever is appropriate for yours. I had a client, she had one which she was like me, she'd basically been using a picture from when she was on a night out. That was not good, not a good idea. It was a nice picture, but it made her look kind of girl next door. Whereas when she then had her professional photograph done, she was completely different. Her salary expectations, everything went up. I'm serious when I say on the previous slide about earning more money. You will earn more money if you have a more professional picture. Not instantly in your current job, of course, but when it comes to moving on, look the part. It's really, really important to be professional on LinkedIn. So when it comes to these pictures, here are some fails, okay? It's not Facebook. Don't do the child picture of you. Don't have you doing sport. Not you drinking. It doesn't work. Not a good first impression. And I don't know if you've ever tried online dating. I'm not sure if that's a sort of a big thing in Pakistan or not, to be honest. But Trust me, no one dates the person with no photo. And likewise, no one hires the person with no photo either, because they think you have something to hide. And your profile, because of the algorithm, is 11 times more likely to be viewed. So do not think you're, oh, I'm a private person. Don't be the private person if you want to network and be found. You need to have that photo and be there. Top ranking tip here is, do not just do what everybody else does, which is to put their LinkedIn photograph and call it linkedin.jpg or linkedin1.png. Instead, put keywords into the file name as well, because the algorithm can't see the handsome or pretty picture of you, your professional picture, and be impressed, but it can read keywords in that file name. And you can also add additional alt tags and other data tags onto the photograph, which the algorithm can read, okay? It can't see a picture, it's not that clever, but it can see the keywords, so don't miss that opportunity. So, your professional headline, I've said this was this morning, I checked on this. Your professional headline really lets you drive the way forward. I want to tell you what to put in this. You can see here that LinkedIn loves Google, as I said before. So people, when they click on Google to find out about you, this is what they find. So your professional headline is incredibly important, but the default is actually just your latest job title at your latest organization, as you see in this top line here. Now that's helpful for people, but you can do far better. If you explain what you do, you can do far more than this. So explain that, explain your passions, explain your interests. This is the start of mine at the moment, and more tips on this later on. But there's a warning. Remember, as you're adding in additional things here, of course, HR, your boss can see this as well. So make sure that it's enthusiastic and appropriately professional, not screaming about something else that you're doing with your side hustle, for example. We don't want to be, I'm not trying to advise you to be doing that. Be careful, be discreet with that. The next extra tip for you here, add more sections to your profile. Add keywords in each of those extra sections. So it could be the featured media, that gives you loads of opportunity to add exciting content in there. Videos, links to where you might have been featured and you might be on YouTube, links to newspaper mentions of yourself. Any volunteer roles, that's an extra opportunity. Maybe you volunteer or do pro bono work alongside your existing job. You can be a pro bono marketing director for a small organization, perhaps, even if you're not a marketing director in your main job. And that's an opportunity for you to get those words marketing director into your profile. So think about that. Extra languages that you have and maybe causes that you support. You can work in vital keywords into each of these sections every time you're helping raise the profile and the ranking of your profile. Power play number 4. Okay, we're halfway there. I'm going to go faster because we're going to talk fast and keep it going. You have a personal billboard. Now, can you see this billboard here in this picture? There's nothing on it. Can you imagine what a waste that is? Wasted media space is basically a disaster. If you had that billboard and it was yours and you had freedom to put whatever you want there, would you leave it blank? Of course you wouldn't. And yet, even though we know that billboards work, even though we know that they are particularly effective, sometimes on LinkedIn, we're not making use of the billboard that it provides us. And there is a particular place on your profile that really lets you basically use a billboard, and it's the background photograph behind your head. So we know that these billboards are working. Everyone's using them. The big brands are all using them. And your billboard is right there on your profile. Can you see the difference of my profile? I made it with and without my background photograph. Can you see when I'm not using that opportunity to create a credible first impression? Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you just leave that blank? And also be careful not to confuse. I was speaking with somebody just the other day and there was a random picture of some nature. And I'd only just met the person and I first thought, well, I wonder if he's in charge of nature walks or something, or I wonder if he's a biologist. And he wasn't. And he wasn't trying to be a biologist or in charge of nature walk. He was trying to be in marketing. So be very careful about misleading people, because the image that you choose will guide people. And you can not only use an image, but you can also add words. You can add images, so you can tell a whole story there. It's your billboard. Don't miss the opportunity to use that one, okay? So it's a simple but massive idea. it's free as well. Everyone who goes to your profile will see that message. So the next tip here, an extra tip, give and request recommendations. Okay, it sometimes feels a little uncomfortable, but again, they're a ranking factor. They can contain keywords. Ask for their words. When I ask for people for recommendations, I say, please use your own words. That will be best. And sometimes, though, they're very busy. So to help people recommend you, say, listen, anything that includes this, this, and this would be really helpful to me. And that just helps trigger ideas for what they can write in their mind. And of course, you trigger them with keywords that are helpful for your profile. But that way, it's their free-form text that they're writing about you, but it's very, very credible. And when someone else comes along and sees that you've got multiple recommendations, I would say aim for at least 10, ideally 20. That might sound like a lot, but I promise you, if you just did one per week, and I don't recommend doing a tit for tat. Don't just say to a friend, let me do one for you, you do one for me. Reach out to people with some meaning in your career past, your CEO, your manager, but also your intern as well. Don't forget to go down, because to have an intern that valued you as well. And also when you work with your interns, trust me, in 5 years' time, they'll be hiring us. So when we're all old and we missed the boat or something, so look after those people lower down. It's always important to hold down the hand to help them up, and do something for them. Endorse them for some skills if they were good as well, or if they did a good project, write them a recommendation. They'll remember that forever if a senior leader writes them a recommendation. So I always say, don't be above that. It's really important to give. So next, power play, number 5. These are the ninja hidden moves, okay? So this is kind of stuff that's almost behind the scenes that people don't know about. These are legal, they're simple, and they're basically a very effective way to look better and do better on LinkedIn. So the first one here is optimizing for your name. Now, there are 9 people, as far as I know, in the world who share my name, and it's really important when I Google that I'm at the top, because otherwise people think I can't do my job. So I have to be there. So I want you to be at the top as well for your name. And one of the ways that we optimize is we optimize for our name within our profile. We don't want to just keep mentioning our name throughout. That's going to look strange. But there are certain places you can add this in. A great place to do it, if you go to your contact info, that's here, click the first arrow, then click the edit pen, and then where it says add a website, click on the other in the drop-down box. And what happens is you get an extra field that is available at that point. And you can put any keywords. You can put your name, you can put keywords that are relevant to your profile. So that's how to do that, okay? Don't forget to click save at the end. We don't want you to lose your work. You can add 3 websites like that. But by the way, if you don't have a website to add, just use the URL from your LinkedIn profile, the homepage of it. We're doing that for behind the scenes for the algorithm. Most people are not going to go there into that contact info. And even if they do and they click it, they'll just come back to your profile. No harm done. But it lets you use that otherwise not their field. Otherwise that field's not even present. But you can then load it up with the right keywords. It doesn't give you lots, but you can put your name and maybe your job title that you want to be working in and your current job title. Next one, claim your personal URL. When you first get a profile on LinkedIn, it sets you up with this random URL with all kinds of weird digits in there. Big old mess, hard for you to remember, impossible to remember to share it with anybody without copy pasting. If you want to get your name, just go to your profile, and then top right, you'll see it says edit public profile and URL. You may find someone has already taken your name, in which case, if you have an MBA, put the MBA on the end of your name or add some other keywords. I don't recommend putting Sam Waterfall 77, because then they'll think, oh, well, he was born in 77, he's very old. Or they might think, he's very late to this party if there's already 76 people who've used that URL ahead of him. So I don't recommend these sort of long numbers on the end of your name, but try to use keywords instead. I think that gives a better first impression. And the third ninja secret, this one's really important. Remember I told you how important that headline is? Well, here's the secret, okay? It normally gives you 120 characters, and I call it 120 characters of opportunity. But if you actually write them in on your iPhone or on your smartphone, it lets you write more. Now, I don't know actually where it stops, because I didn't try to just do it till it ended, because you don't want the headline that goes on forever. But to have a few more characters is a great thing, because that's where the algorithm really looks. So guess what I did? Mine's written on my iPhone, and I've put many more keywords in there, and I've stretched the whole thing out so that when someone comes to my profile, the first thing they read is all of the stuff I want them to see. Try that one. It's a ninja tip that really works, really easy and quick to do. Here's another tip. Maximize your endorsements, okay? People sometimes don't think about endorsements. They just think, oh, well, I've just been endorsed by someone who I barely know for a skill I barely have. What's the point? Well, let's face it. If someone's looking at your profile and considering you for a job or a promotion versus someone else, and they have a look, they look down your whole profile and they see that for the main skill they're looking for, say project management, you've got 84 endorsements from other professionals and the other person's got 3. It's not going to get you the job, but it's going to look good. Okay, so it's a positive sort of indicator that you can be good at the main thing they're looking for. That's a good thing. Of course, in the ranking factors for the algorithm, it's going to help you as well. So how do you get more of them? Give more of them. That's how you do it. To get more of them, give more of them. Every time you are at a bit of a loose end, you have a few spare minutes, get on the app, go to your weak ties profiles, remind them that you exist. This is the other thing people don't think about with endorsements. What a fabulous way to give to your connections. I said, be helpful, be memorable, be meaningful to them. You can go onto their profile, someone maybe from your career 10 years ago or 5 years ago, someone you've not spoken to since then. Go onto their profile, endorse them for 10 skills you know they have, and watch what happens. You're going to start a conversation, and it's amazing where you can go from that. So more on that in just a moment, but give to gain. Power play number 6. Okay, the Dream 30. This is really, really important because people say, well, how do I start making this networking thing work? How do I actually get something from LinkedIn? And the Dream 30 are by definition the 30 people in the world who are best placed to help you. Okay, and now they may all be on your LinkedIn already, but they're probably not. Think about where you're trying to get to in your career next. Who are the people who can help you the most? And they could be people from your past, former colleagues. They could be recruiters who might be recruiting you, headhunters who are taking you for another senior executive position. Or they could be sector celebrities, as I call them, people who are influential. Maybe they're an entrepreneur with their own business in that sector. Maybe they are a blogger within that sector with a big following. Maybe they are a trade sector journal editor. Maybe they organize the trade show for your sector or the industry events and conferences. Whoever they might be, if you don't know them yet, chances are those people will know other people who could help you make progress. And so getting to know them is really important. Work out for your future, who are the 30 best people, the most important people to help you get that next level step that you want. Question, how many of them do you know right now? Next question, how many of them know you? Because if they don't know you, they don't know what you want, do they? So how many of them have you helped recently? How many of you instigated that law of reciprocity by helping them? You've put things in your favor, even if it's just endorsing a few weak ties for a few endorsements, as we've said, or writing a recommendation for somebody, or sharing something useful. You've helped them. And then how many of these 30 know exactly what you're looking for so they can help you get it? Because think about yourself. You'd love to help your weak ties get what they want in life. You'd love to do that. That's how we all work. It's lovely to matchmake relationships. It's lovely to matchmake future careers. And so given the chance, we would love to do it. But if we don't know what our acquaintances are trying to get, because they haven't told us, when we see that opportunity, we can't connect them to it, even though we gladly would. And your Dream 30 are the same. You've got to let them know what you're looking for. So that's why this is so important. And my last question there is, what are you waiting for? Because life is too short. If you don't take action on this, they can't help you. So do that. Do that. How do you do it? Here we are. This is the Dream 30 tracker. If you want a copy of that, email me. My email's coming up at the end. It's sam@obviouscandidate.com, and I'll send you this. Fill this in. I recommend 10 people from your personal network, 10 recruitment professionals, and 10 sector celebrities or wildcards, the people who can help you most within your search for getting what you want next. Across the tracker, what we're tracking here, 30 people and 30 conversations requires tracking. All right, really, really important, because otherwise you'll lose track of who said what and what you've done to try to get this moving. For people who are good, trusted colleagues from the past, it might be very easy. Maybe send them a text message, say, can we jump on a call? Next day you jump on a call. It's that easy. But for a sector celebrity, it might take a lot longer to build up, and do take your time to do that. There's no need to rush this. And please don't rush it. Okay, the objective here is not to spam your resume, spam your CV at these people at the first opportunity, because it's like meeting someone and saying, oh, hi, I like you, should we get married? And I was like, no, it's too much too soon. So don't do that. You need to build a relationship, build some trust, help them so that they want to help you. But the big mistake people make is that, well, I've been sending out my CV, I've been sending out my resume. No, because imagine if someone just sends it to you. Are you sitting there waiting for someone to send their resume? Of course you're not. It's never a good time for someone to receive your resume unless they've asked for it. Then it's a good time. But you need to set that bit up first. Otherwise, you're burning amazing opportunities with the right people who you are sending it to, but it's landing in their inbox and their PA is saying no on their behalf. They're gatekeeping it. Whereas if you set up the relationship with the individual, they're looking for it. Their PA is prioritizing it and putting it on top of their papers or whatever they're looking at. So think about it that way. So get them onto a Zoom call, all of your Dream 30, let them know what you're looking for. But most importantly, before you let them know, find out how you can help them. People always say to me, Sam, how can you help them? And the answer is ask them. Ask them what you can do for them. They either want something or they want a promotion or they want a connection or they want more business. You can help them. Even senior people need help. They'll be very glad to do that. So keep being helpful, keep being kind. We're nearly there. We're nearly done now. So, but I hope this is just rich with things that you can make as quick changes. Next tip here as an extra tip, upgrade to the premium account to see all profile views, okay? Otherwise, you can't see what's happening. You can't see people who are trying to network with you. So the free account is very good for getting started, but if you're taking this seriously, they purposefully, to make you pay Microsoft who own LinkedIn, they want to restrict this. But it's a really important functionality to have. So it's especially important if you're job seeking or if you're networking. You can always downgrade again afterwards, but it's really, really important. So power play number 7 is what I call the digital dance. It's like the boy meets girl. It's the start of a relationship. And it's really, really, really important. And what we're talking about here is how to use LinkedIn stats and LinkedIn Premium to be able to inform your actions to improve your results. So what you'll find is that with a digital dance, as you're watching your statistics, and here's my dashboard from my profile. So I'd had 916 people came and had a look at my profile in that time period. Now, if I was on free, I could only see between 3 and 5 of those. Imagine the missed opportunity. I'm blind to that. I can't see who's there, who's looking. So I really want to be able to use that functionality. So what it then lets me do is scroll all the way through all the people. I can choose then, I can use another feature of Premium is in-mails, which is the direct emails you can send within LinkedIn. And it gives you 15 free per month. You can buy more if you want. But I can prioritize who are the people who've had a look at my profile. I don't need to message them straight away. Again, that might be too much too soon. But what I want to do here is start a digital dance. The reason I say that, I went to an all-boys school. It was when it came to school discos and we went to meet the girls' school, it was a very awkward time, okay? Not just for me, but for most of us. And we didn't know what to say or what to do. And so it was like my friend says, and you know, they really like you, and you know, all of this kind of awkward conversation. So to avoid awkward networking on LinkedIn, have a little look at their profile. See that you like them, as in maybe you'd like to work at their organization. And guess what happens? Their notification, think about this, their notification shows them that you looked and they see you. And especially if they've got a premium as well, they'll definitely see it was you. They'll know that you've been looking. If you do that for a little while, each time that you appear, maybe if you're connected with them, you endorse them as well. If they're a contact of yours, they're going to get another red notification that's going to say, Sam has endorsed you for this. Oh, Sam, that's very kind. And so you're associating your name and your golden trio, remember, with the success of, and the endorphin rush, if you like, that little buzz that we get with notifications on social media. thanks to Zuckerberg and so on, that they've trained our brains to love those little notifications. Oh, look, something's happening. Oh, it's a positive thing about me. Someone endorsed me and said I was good. I like that. Oh, there's that person's name. Positive reinforcement. That's what's happening here. And so notify, then contact, then connect, and then ask useful questions. That's how this works. So make sure you're following those kind of steps. The extra tip here is also join relevant LinkedIn groups. Start and join discussions. Don't sell in the groups. That's really important because people don't like that. Just contribute. If you contribute effectively and give, people will visit your profile. That's kind of your home where it's okay to have links in there to go to sales pages or to talk about selling yourself and your skills. So the final power play, we're reaching the end. I hope this has been useful with lots of things you can apply. The final power play is the approaches that work. These are the networking introductions that you can use on LinkedIn. And so let me just, my slides stopping slightly. Let me explain what we're going to do here. What we're doing is we're actually overlaying psychology with networking skills at this point. When you think about the way that you use your app, when you go to it, you probably have a real pattern. You most likely look for where are those red notifications, either the messages first to check people who've sent you a message that's very personal to you, and then you'll check the notifications to see what's happening that's relevant, that's been flagged as a notification for you. Then maybe you check your feed after that. And so that's really important to understand how that works. What we're trying to do is get into people's notifications repeatedly so that they feel familiar with us, that the sense of being a stranger is removed, and that really helps us, okay? So the digital dance and these 5 icebreakers, this is how it all comes together. My slides have stopped moving at the moment, so I'm just going to do this from memory. The first tip here is to visit their LinkedIn profile. Okay, visit their LinkedIn profile. That's the first thing that you can do, because then they get this notification. So you'll appear in their who's viewed, and that's the start of the digital dance. It gives them the opportunity to come view you as well. And when they do that, you start this interaction. The second thing is to endorse them. Okay, that's a really easy thing you can do if you're connected with them. The third thing is to write them an unsolicited recommendation. Just watch what happens if you do that for someone, because you will watch them light up. It's a really nice thing to do. Keep it short, concise, on point for something they've done, a project they did with you. They will love that, and then they'll probably offer to do something for you as well. It's at least an opportunity for you to start networking with them. The next thing you can do is to send them what I call an I saw this and thought of you email, or an I saw this and thought of you in mail in LinkedIn. Send those messages, because maybe their team won the league, or maybe there was something that was important to them like that. That's what you can share. Really, really important. And it's also important. The next one is to ask intelligent questions. So if you ask intelligent questions, that makes a big difference. When they've taken time to post content, post an article, anything like that, definitely post for them and definitely comment. Ask them a sensible question about it as well. That's really important. And if I can over-deliver with a 6th idea as well, prepare something personal, especially if you're trying to link and connect with someone who's very important within your industry, one of those wild cards, a sector celebrity, or someone very senior. The way to get their attention is to do something very personal for them. Explain that you've done some research and that you'd like to share it. We used to be able to go and say, can I buy you a coffee and show you these things for 15 minutes? That was a good technique. In COVID times, it's usually a Zoom conference. They have to buy their own coffee these days, but you can still invite them along, and that's one way of doing that. So that is the end of our power plays, and it brings us to any chance for any sort of Q&A, if anybody's got questions from what we've been going through there.
Sam, I've got a question. It came to us prior to the conversation. So,
yes.
Followers versus contacts. I've seen a lot of posts of some illustrious LinkedIn networkers celebrating 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 followers. So for our audiences, if you can just kindly understand, what are the key differences between followers and contacts? And as a networker, what should one go for? Should one focus on followers, or should one work more on acquaintances and build your network through contacts? What's your take?
I would always try to connect with people as much as possible. First, LinkedIn gives you up to 30,000 connections, which is a lot of weak ties. That's a huge amount to be working with. Beyond 30,000, people can only follow you. So that's the way it works. There's an opportunity in just underneath the main section of your profile. There's like a more button that has a drop down and lets you do things in there. Within there, you can add follow. So you can put that down. I find it quite useful. Follow is useful. When you've got followers, the algorithm seems to share your content more effectively with followers. That seems to be very, very good. Sometimes it's not very generous at sharing with your connections. So, but I would suggest definitely try to connect with people because you want that connection. And I think you want to have that full connection as much as possible. But following is it's a useful way of getting content from somebody, and it also indicates to the algorithm if your suitable interests. Let's say that you're following, if you're interested in a career in electric cars, and you're following Tesla as a company, and you're following Elon Musk as an individual, those kind of follows are relevant for the algorithm to see that you're interested in that sector. So that's another way of using them as well. But I would try to build your connections up to that maximum and keep going. Most of us, I'm a long way off 30,000 as yet, so I'm not about to run out of scope and have to only go to followers. When you're doing the connecting, by the way, this was an extra tip, which I think my computer's now unfrozen, which is great. Always connect with people via a personalized message is another one of my extra tips here. This is so important because sometimes, and if you do it from your phone, be careful, because the default from your phone is that it just sends the invitation and it arrives with no explanation to the person. And especially if it's a senior person, I think you really want to have an explanation as to why and the benefits they might have from connecting with you, and maybe even offering something as well. I've had a few people connect with me in the last week where they've said, if you connect, I'll send you a link to this Google document with 80 email templates or something like that. It's like, oh, wow. I would have connected with the person anyway, but if they're going to give me 80 swipe files for, marketing emails that are working, sure, I'll take a look at those. Thank you very much. So it's a nice way, in my world as well, I could do that as well. I could offer people additional value, maybe a template for a resume or a template for a part of a LinkedIn profile or something. And how do you do that? Well, how do you overcome that? So when you're doing this, if you just click, this was from my phone, okay, I just went on, I found somebody, this is Ben Francis, who is the owner of Gymshark, who's celebrating this week because Gymshark's just been given a £1 billion valuation, so he's having a very good week. Well done, Ben. So if I wanted to connect with Ben, what I would do here, I wouldn't just connect, because the temptation, of course, you would think is just press the connect button. That's what you would do. And that just sends this invitation straight to Ben, and he's either going to go, well, who's Sam Waterfall? I don't know him. No. Whereas the better one is to go to the more button. That creates this pop-up at the bottom of your screen. Click on the personalized invite button, and that gives you the chance to write a quick message, not a long message, but something to say, hi, Ben, congratulations on your £1 billion or £1 billion valuation, and then something else that's relevant to sort of introduce yourself. That's the way to do it rather than do it cold. So I think that's really, really important. So I don't know if we've got any other sort of questions. In summary, what I want to just sort of show, just to recap on what we've done, we've looked at all of these power plays, and I hope you can see how each of these things fits together. They're all really important collectively to raise the impact you're having with your LinkedIn profile. And alongside that, we've had all of these additional tips that I've been trying to feed in with our blue backgrounds as well. So hopefully that's been a rich source of information. And my big message to anyone who's watching this is take what you learn and make a difference with it, because any one of these things can improve what you're doing on LinkedIn. But if you start applying all of those, it's going to have a huge impact in terms of what you're achieving and what people are getting from you, and how many of your weak ties are aware of you. And these things, by the way, it doesn't all happen. Sometimes I had someone in the last 2 weeks connect with, he'd been a connection for several years, but he'd been an acquaintance out there in distant land in LinkedIn. And he came to me and he sent me a message and he booked in through my website. And he said, yeah, I saw a presentation you gave in 2016. 2016? And you remember me? So yeah, I was on your LinkedIn. I keep seeing your stuff. So, oh, wow, it works. And so he booked a meeting. He's now a client. He paid me money. It works. So, but it happened because of all the stuff I've been doing since then. But we built the network and we recommended he came and connected with me. More on that here. Join me. Become my weak tie. It would be great to, you know, because I don't know what you all do as alumni of the Institute of Business Management. So, but I do know that you're going to be doing amazing things. If you're not doing it yet, if you've just graduated and you're trying to find a job, fantastic. If you're already a senior leader, fantastic, congratulations. Please be in my weak ties. I'd love to see your window on the world and help you with anything I can help you with as well. That's how this business thing all works as far as I can work it out. It's a great way of doing this and how we can all help each other. So yeah, please send me a connection. Do become my connection. Don't want you just follow me. Let's do business. Let's you know, help as much as we can. So that's how this all works, I think. So from me, I hope that's all helpful. Happy to answer any more questions if there's any more. Sarah, I don't know if you've seen anything as well, or if anybody's asked anything in the chat. I haven't got the chat box up at the moment to see.
Seems like you've been pretty clear today. And
I hope so.
And so this one was a little more detailed than the first one. And so yeah, it made more sense. It's come all together now. So like the thing you said about the section being organized, like all the stuff that you need to add, and the way you've told us the trick about the 120 characters that we can exceed it, you know. So yeah, I think, and Abrar also said that, and Abrar's been implementing and using all the techniques that you used, that you told us about in the last session. And I keep noticing that he's doing stuff there on LinkedIn. So, you know, it's because I've been busy and I haven't gotten the chance. Yeah. So he's making use of all those chitty chits that are in his hands.
He's also
I'm advertising for Sam as well. See, I've got my entire set of notes and I'm going to write the white paper. So yeah,
Thank you so much. He's also become an absolute expert at hashtags, I've noticed as well. So I think there's a lot of learning. I didn't even mention it. There's so much, but you know, with just an hour together, it's difficult to sort of to cover everything. But I think as you say, we've gone into a lot of detail today to think about how this works. And also, I've tried to show how it all fits together and how the foundations are important, but they're also important before you start doing the more advanced methods as well.
I think we're learning from the best, and I think another thought. We have a lot of graduates who are about to enter the market. I can hear a lot of echo, so we apologize for a little bit.
Let me.
But what we would want to see and we would want to share across all platforms, we've got a huge audience of our alumni who are hitting the market, fresh graduates who are young. So for all of you, establish your network connections. We will be sharing, we will be coming back to you. And indeed, Sam, I think these are gems of wisdom. You're celebrating, you are enjoying this platform, you are sharing all this information with the leaders of today and tomorrow. So I think from the depths of our heart, we want to wish you thank you very much. And for all those who are listening to us, this has been a great session. And again, we would want to stress that we would want to hear more from you, Sam. So as we discussed earlier, LinkedIn and networking are great, but it's more of how we want to action it in our lives. So for all of us, the leaders who are engaged still everywhere in the world, we are speaking to you, and we would want to celebrate leaders and impart these lessons, gems of wisdom, from a global coach, a career specialist, someone who's been helping, contributing quite a lot. And on a personal note, Sam, thank you very much for
I
supporting
have two
all those
questions just now. I'm so sorry, Abrar.
listeners. Yeah.
Okay, so
So
there is how.
we will definitely take some questions, Sara.
Okay, so the first question goes like this: how Sam sees the future new jobs with COVID-19?
Just repeat the question for me, Sarah.
How you see the future new jobs with COVID?
Okay, yes. Well, if it's about getting them, this networking idea is more important than ever. I think everyone, what's happened, everywhere around the world, it's amazing the impact it's had because we've all changed. And it's globalization, really. I mean, I'm sitting here in London, talking to you in Pakistan. Many of you are maybe some alumni in other countries as well. And that's great for a start. That's always exciting. But, I used to travel and do it in person. But now, because I've got a family, it's much easier to do it like this. It's great to be able to share because the technology allows us to do it like this. And I think there's been a complete transformation in the way people think about what they did need to travel for. I'm not suggesting that Zoom meetings are really a long-term replacement for really meeting people, shaking hands, and hopefully connecting with people again as we always used to. But I do see that there are major changes in the way jobs are working, and the way that people are viewing office space, requirement to be there. I think many organizations have pivoted forward and changed their business model as well. So I think it gives permission for a lot of new entrepreneurship, a lot of new ideas. And people are more open, I think, as well. If you approach in a sensible way, as we've said, it's not about sending a resume as the first connection, which is like too much. Just slow down, build a connection, build some trust first. And it's amazing where you can go. And it's amazing, people who you think don't need help, we all need help. We all need help. Everyone appreciates a like or a useful comment. I try to tee up comments. When I comment on people's LinkedIn, I try to write helpful things that allow the author to come back and say more about what they're trying to promote or benefit. They don't always see it. They don't always come back and do it. But it's great to try to be generous and to try to set this up. Because the more you help people, the more they're there to help you. And that's kind of my big message from today is start building your network yesterday, because when you need it tomorrow, it will be there for you. But it won't be there if you just build your profile and sit still. You have to look after people, look after and nurture those weak ties. So that's my answer on the jobs. I think it's changing, and the way we're doing it is changing. The way we're finding them, definitely network towards it. Do you know what? I'm yet to find somebody who has got their job through Easy Apply. I don't know if you know somebody who's got their job through LinkedIn Easy Apply, but so many people are easy applying. I think the numbers of applications that are going in for every job at the moment are so vast. The numbers are against you, unfortunately. And I'm hearing so many people who are trying it, but getting nowhere. But the people who are succeeding are doing what I call not those front door applications, but they're using networking to do a side door application. They're PRing their way in through connections. Because as we said, as Granovetter said, they're more trusted. Otherwise, LinkedIn, of course, we're putting our best impression forward. That's what it's all about. But it's more trusted to have somebody else PR you. And the other question, Sarah?
No, that will be it. That will be it. There was something about the recording. So anyone who wants to learn how to network, socialize, make the most of a LinkedIn network. So they will have the recording on our pages of IoBM Alumni Association, as well as the Institute of Business Management page. And thank you, Sam, for doing this with us again. We have 2 more sessions within this series, if I'm not wrong, right, Abrar?
Yes, you're right, Sara. And
so we see more of Sam.
We would love to do that, and we're still loving it.
Yeah.
Sam, we would want to personally thank you for is also supporting our listeners. So we had multiple queries our listeners have reached out to you, and thank you very much indeed for supporting them. So all those who are joining in, our audiences, Sam Waterfall from Obvious Candidate is helping because of COVID-19 situation across the world, who all are listening in to us today. He's helping them out, and all those who would want to reach out to Sam, take his advice on career, on your next promotion, on a better paying, or somewhere in life at this point in time, be it be marketing, be it be any other division. For all those leaders who are listening to us, please reach out to us, reach directly out to Sam Waterfall. And this has been a fabulous session. Sam, Sara, all the organizing team at Institute of Business Management. This has been a fantastic session from Lessons for Leaders, and we wish you the very best. Inshallah, see you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye from London. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.